3, 2, 1. Hi there, I'm Danny Henderson. Welcome back to my beautiful channel. My guest today is a long-term dear friend. She's known in the world as Grandma Sparky. Now, I call her Sparky Pants, but that's my private, personal name for her. But Grandma Sparky has long-term been devoted to children and people of our planet. And she goes around the world with this beautiful movement, the Blue Ribbon Movement. And that blue ribbon that she places on people's hearts says, "Who I am makes a difference." Grandma Sparky wasn't always Grandma Sparky. She was a young married woman and a mother. And certain events took her to the very edge of literal suicide. And we're going to start from that point. Hello, my darling Grandma Sparky. Welcome back to my beautiful channel.
Thank you, gorgeous woman, who we hang out and played in San Diego together all the time. I love you so dearly.
I love you too. But darling, let's start with the dramatic events that led you to something so beautiful.
Sure. You know, I'm 82 years young now, but I was when I was 37, which is a long time ago, I was millionaire. My husband and I had a beautiful home overlooking the ocean in San Diego. Our children were preteen, surfing the waves below, and all of it looks great. My husband was a brilliant and beloved entrepreneur. He was just so smart, knew how to make money by blinking, and was very generous to everyone. However, behind closed doors, he was very intimidating and controlling and emotionally abusive. I don't know about other people, but I was very subservient to him, even though I was such a successful businesswoman on my own right, making a lot of money. When it came to my husband, I just never thought I was pretty enough, smart enough. I couldn't buy a dress without his permission, even though I was making a boatload of money. And so one day I decided, I drove my Mercedes up to the house, and I looked at it. I couldn't see the ocean right there in front of me or the sunset, the sun going down. And all of a sudden lights went out inside of me. And all I could hear is, my life is not valuable. I don't matter. And I'm going to commit suicide. And it was just, for anybody thinking about this, the lights went out. It was dark, and I couldn't think of the future at all. And when I decided that, as I was walking into the house, that the next day I would drive my Mercedes off the cliff into the ocean and just be gone. I couldn't think of my children. I didn't think of my parents. I didn't think of anybody, what that loss, it didn't occur to me. It's just that I couldn't be here any longer. And so that's actually the beginning of where I was. And then all of a sudden, the next morning, I was dressed in my beautifulest dress, and that was the day I was going to take my life. My husband gets ready for work, and he comes out and he puts his hand on my shoulder, and he said, "I think you're going crazy. You ought to stay home from work today." And he ran down the steps, and he went out I heard his Mercedes convertible rev up and leave. And I just stood there, and I stared at our window pane that looked out to the ocean, was right there, and I could see nothing. And I decided to strip out of my clothes, and I watched everything just drop to the floor, and I fell to the floor in a fetal position and started to sob and sob and scream and scream. And I screamed to the heavens, and I said, "Stop the world. I got to get off and find a place and a way where people love each other. I'm so lost." And all of a sudden, I heard this sweet voice inside of me that says, "You can't take your life because you're going to sing, dance, write, and have a musical on Broadway in New York." I tell you something, it went from darkness to nothing. So all of a sudden, it was like a switch inside of me. It was like me talking to me, like a higher self or a calling. I have no idea what that inner sweet sound was coming from, that lesson. But I woke up and I went, "You really?" I'm going to sing, dance, write, and have a musical on Broadway in New York and bring love to the world. I don't know how to sing. I don't know how to dance. I don't know how to write. I'm a businesswoman and a mom. So that's where it began.
Yeah, yeah, incredible.
So you want me to go on and just tell what's
Absolutely.
next, or would
That
you
would
like to
lead
ask
us
a question?
into, from that traumatic event, that literal life-ending event, something inside
Right,
of you. So let me ask you a
right,
question. We know the world, a lot of people in the world are terribly sad. They're frightened. There's an ascension happening. Everybody is,
sure,
their consciousness is shifting. And with that, we have to look at our
right,
shadows. We have to face ourselves. And it's hard for some people. I also know there are a lot
right,
of people and people in the public eye who literally have demonic attachments to them that want their souls and would like them to exit themselves off the planet. When
right,
you were in your moment of utter darkness and feel
right.
like the lights went out, which is a very significant statement to make, Sparky, do you feel there was anything influencing you?
Hmm. That's a really good question. I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel anything. All I was is it was like I was taken by something else. I know it. I mean, I explain it like after the fact that I was on a corporate ride that took me without thought to everything that I was about to do for the next 3 years. I wrote about it. I said I had 3 years of no premeditative thought. I was really channeled the whole time. That conversation I wouldn't have thought about. I didn't know from channeling or spirit, uh, or I didn't have that in my bones. I wasn't religious. I was a mom. I was a businesswoman. I was a subservient wife. I was, had bought my own Mercedes. I had stuff. I was smart, but no, I didn't know that, except that the universe brought things to me to take me in a journey to discover uh, my inner self, certainly, to groom me and love me so I could love myself first. That I wouldn't have thought about, and I think that's the last thing any of us often think about, is just how do we do the next doing, instead of how do you be instead of do. How do I be the change, as Gandhi would say, instead of doing it. I was a doing master. I could produce a lot of results. So what your question was, did I feel something or did something happen? I I, I was just taken,
Mhm.
and that's my experience of the next things that happened for me over those next month and 3 months and years.
You mentioned a beautiful point there, which I want everyone to hear that sees this. And that is the fact that you learned that you had to love you. And this self-love is a saving grace for humanity. Getting rid of the stories, the programs that parents and other people have put into us, but us actually having the courage to say, I love me, I have value, I have worth. This is where we're at. Anyone who's dismissed that or not allowed that for themselves, they better be going inside right now. We're all on this journey together.
Yes, I want to speak to that, and I want to be very gentle and compassionate about it. um, we can hear it. We can be told. I have been told by a lot of people, do you know who you are? Do you have any clue what you're doing? That you're impacting right now over 50 million or more people. I had no clue. I couldn't hear and discover who I was. It's taken me a long, long time. It's taken me 45 years, to go into the inner journey and find out what the calling was, or what God wanted me to do, or why I was born. I don't think it's like, here it is, remember this and get it, because I couldn't. I think we need to be in a safe, fertilized soil in order to be talk about whatever is in our heart, that emotional part which has been denied, to talk about who authentically what's happening to us, whether we have money or no money, with food in the refrigerator or not, like I didn't have, or gas, in the car so I could go to a meeting or meet somebody or promote. I couldn't do any of that. I had a ribbon and all I did is put my money toward that. So I would just be gentle with all of ourselves
Mm.
through this, because it is a brand new conversation. It's a 180-degree turn from being in a doing world and having to graduate school, get a job, get married, make children, do this, go to the dentist, start a website. God only knows what we have to do to produce anything today. And all of a sudden I heard this voice inside of me that says, you must be, not do. And I would say, what? And Ram Dass had said, the difference between be, do, have. And we were taught that we had to do something in order to have something so we could be who we always wanted to be. And he gave us a 180-degree turnaround, that we must be first, then do what we can do, then we can have what we wanted to have. And I just sat back and I go, I don't understand what you're talking about. What do you mean be? I have to do something. And they go, you can't. Just be quiet, meditate. And I go, I don't want to sit and meditate for 5 minutes. I got to do something. I'm like, don't know, I was type A personality, very action oriented. So I just want to cherish us and to be compassionate, and also to wake up in a way that's kind and loving around this conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Is that making some sense?
Oh, my darling, of course it is. Of course it is. The most vulnerable people are in a position, now where a lot of them they have hurt way worse than they ever imagined. They literally can't
Right.
take it anymore. And what your ribbon has done, and this is another reason why I have you on today, my lovely friend, something
Sure.
as small to most people, the difference. Now, I'm going to go into what I've witnessed with my own eyes with you around the world doing your
Sure.
do. But I would like
Sure.
you to tell people about the blue ribbon and what it
Sure.
is. How did you come to it? Just tell us that story. It's so important.
Yes. So when I left my husband, what happened is one day I just said, I can't be here anymore. I walked out of $1 million home with a potted plant in my clothes, and that was it. I took nothing else with me. My husband, I turned my money over to my husband or fixed the house or something. So I lived with little nothing. I decided I was in real estate, produced very successful in that. And I gave up my career. I gave up my $1 million home. I gave up everything. I left my two preteen sons. They didn't even know what the heck happened. I had to take care of myself because I was really depressed. And in the process of doing that, I I longed. I heard the voice inside of me that says, "I got to make a difference." That was before that conversation was that anybody spoke it. And I went, I got to matter and make a difference. And I wound up going to the Hunger Project. It's a long story, but nonprofit organization. And I thought, yeah, they're talking about 21 kids are dying every minute for lack of food. I can do something about that. I was a millionaire. Why couldn't I contribute? In the process of being in the Hunger Project, I spoke to thousands of kids in auditoriums, school auditoriums, and I spoke, in organizations. And people came up to me and said, well, I'm starving myself, the kids would say. My daddy's just lost his job. We're going to lose our home. Girl says, my mother's got cancer and I don't know what to do. A teacher came over to me and said, my son just got arrested for drugs and I'm beside myself. And I came home and I thought, I don't know how to help these people. I'm going through a divorce. But I think love could work. I was brought up with love. And I created a blue ribbon that said, who I am makes a difference. And it has the I am affirmation in it, by the way. It's very important how that came through me. It wasn't something I thought about. It was kind of channeled through me. Um, It says, "Who I am makes a difference." Gold letters, blue ribbon, first prize. And I began to go and honor people, my kids' teachers and my neighbors. I told them how much I loved and respected them, asked them if they would accept my gift of a blue ribbon. And they said yes. I would place the ribbon above their heart. I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to dip it here so you can see it goes up like that. And I cheered them on for their dreams. Took the spark from my heart. I'm called Grandma Sparky. Took the spark from my heart, put it into the cheerleaders. There's in our logos, the cheerleaders. I took the spark from my heart, put it in the cheerleaders, and I'd say, "I'm going to take the spark from my heart. It's the sound that makes dreams come true, and the sound is a 1 and a 2 and a 3. Bing!" And they would all laugh, and it would be giddy. And I'd say, "This is a lot of fun," and I'd give them 2 extra ribbons. They say, "Go honor others." And it caught on, and there were 35,000 people honored each other in the first 3 months. This is the good news, and here's the other news for anybody that has done something in an overnight success. This can scare the bejeebies out of you. It did me. I couldn't walk down the street without paparazzi following me around. Pictures in magazines with me not smiling, not able to smile. And I had all these ribbons on my chest, and they said, "Don't smile." And the caption was, "What's the difference?" People weren't prepared for emotions and honoring each other. It wasn't intellectual, it was emotional. It was, the ceremony was so beautiful that every time I watched somebody honor somebody, I was in awe. All I wanted is, oh, let me capture that with a video. And then the turning point of all of this is, while I could not, like I say, walk out of the door without the cameras following me and so forth, it scared me a lot. And I withdrew from public. And I withdrew for 10 years, actually. But it didn't make any difference, because you see, the one thing that I did do is other people recreated my blue ribbon. They ordered them from our nonprofit. They honored people. They did what I started. And that's the story that wound up in Chicken Soup for the Soul. May I share that story now?
Of course, my love.
So what's important for all of us is I don't know if any of us have a real clue about who we be, just naturally who we be, not what we're doing. I needed to bring love to the world, and I didn't know how. But a teacher in New York ordered our ribbons from our nonprofit. I created a nonprofit, which is now Blue Ribbons Worldwide. And the teacher in New York, high school teacher, honored each of her students one at a time, told them how much she respected them, and she cheered them on for their dreams and gave them ribbon, placed it above their heart with their permission, and then gave them 3 more ribbons and said, "Let's do a community building project and find out how this ribbon can matter and make a difference." And the kids went out to honor others. And this is one story that wound up in Chicken Soup for the Soul. And that afternoon, one of the high school seniors went to a junior executive, and he honored him for helping him with his career planning. Placed the ribbon above his heart, cheered him on for his dreams, gave him 2 extra ribbons, and said, "We're doing a class project. Would you honor somebody and give them the last ribbon and find out what they did and come back and report on it?" That afternoon, the junior executive went to his grouchy boss. This is New York Wall Street now. And he honored him for being a creative genius, for giving him a job and mattering and making a difference, and placed a ribbon above his heart and cheered him on for his dreams and gave him the last ribbon. The grouchy boss is driving home in New York traffic thinking, who am I going to honor? Gets home and he sits his 14-year-old boy down, and he says, "Every night I come home, I yell at you for not cleaning up your room or getting better grades in school." But tonight, son, I just want to tell you that who you are makes a difference and that I love you. And he places the ribbon above his heart. And the boy starts to sob and sob. He cannot stop crying. He goes over to a drawer, opens the drawer, pulls out a gun, looks at his dad and says, I was planning on committing suicide tomorrow because I didn't think you loved me. And now I don't have to. That boy, that father went back to his company, changed the culture of his company. The, the, the high school boy reported the story in class. The teacher called me and told me the story. 1988, I was living in a cement garage of $1 million of a friend of that had $1 million home that overlooked the ocean, and I was in the cement garage, and I got that story, and I said I will repeat it for the rest of my life. That's how you change a life in 60 seconds or less and save a life. And that's where we are today.
That's so beautiful. And you've never stopped and you've kept on going and going.
Absolutely.
And the ribbon, that little blue ribbon, let's just have a look at yours on your chest.
Yeah.
You're out of shot on the camera.
You can
Oh, there you
see
go.
it right there. Whoops,
Yeah.
today's. Okay.
So
Got
people around the world, they buy these ribbons. They're as cheap as chips. And they do this little beautiful ceremony. Now, we did it last week. I was in San Diego because it was a very important day, and it coincided with me being in San Diego for the day. And I came to see you in front of a crowd of people, and the amount of children and young men and women and teenagers. So I just want to give people a heads up here. Sparky is like 3 foot tall. she's like this little teeny tiny munchkin puppet. This woman takes on gangs, and I mean, these young men, they're tribal, they're together, they're in football teams, American football teams. And so cut to, I've seen this so many times. Last week she's on stage, and this group of young men walk in. They're all school age, but they all look like 18, 19, 20. Big boys, big, black, beautiful, African American and other beautiful races. And you little teeny tiny dot, you are on stage and you are directing the entire event. These young men are coming up on stage in front of their peers, and they're telling people that when someone placed a ribbon on them, it did something. It hit that emotion. Who I am makes a difference. You mean I have value? You mean I'm worthy? Sparky, you have sparked life into so many people. You have so many stages. I've seen, like, at this point, I've watched you over the years that we've known each other, thousands of children and young adults and other, but mostly you've been focusing on the children, to give them, to say to them, I'm an adult and I love you and you have value, and who you are does make a difference. And the stories are endless. And excuse me, you recently, a little documentary was made on you. It's only 9 minutes. And it's so impacting and beautiful. Your grandson's in it. You're using the studio of our friend Anne Landstrom, who I just did a photo shoot with. Beautiful lady. And it highlights your beginning to now journey with the emphasis on other people, feeling that who I am makes a difference. And it does. So when we were watching you, you had everyone stand up at your ceremony and do the blue ribbon ceremony to each other. So my partner was a very tall 13-year-old. I thought he was older. 13-year-old African-American young man, beautiful. Yes. And, he didn't want to, we stood in a circle, we held hands. He didn't want to hold my hand. Of course, he didn't. I'm some old woman as far as he's concerned.
Sure.
And then when I turned to him, he vacant, didn't want to be there. And I said to him, listen to me. I said, nobody doesn't feel nervous in a situation like this. We've never seen each other. I said, I want you to remember. I said, how old are you? He said, 13. I said, you're 13 and I'm in my 50s. I said, I still get nervous going into a room full of people. Where am I going to sit? We all have that. I said, if you can remember that right now and take that with you, you're never going to let an adult feel more than you, or you feel less than, or whatever. These things we need to teach them, but we don't always teach them. But what you've done is you've cut through everything. Your blue ribbon has literally saved lives, literally. It's literally stop bullying. I remember watching you in an Oceanside, really rough school. Let's just not paint a pretty picture. We're talking gangs, drugs, weapons in this school. You stood on stage, and one of the worst bullies, considered the worst bullies, obviously a very hurt young man who'd been aggressive and violent to protect himself. No excuse to hurt others, but that was his reason why he was in that. I watched him stand on that stage and reach out to his entire year and apologize and own it. And then someone else from the other gang came up, and because they're in school, but they're in gangs. And you are there, this bright spark of light. And you did that. You did that. And then last week at the Sunday ceremony, I'm sitting with my friend Diane Forster, who's been on my channel a few times, a beautiful life coach, Diane Forster. We're sitting together because we came together to watch you be honored. We're sitting together and we are giggling. We are watching you direct giants on stage. And most of them were the giant, beautiful Black African-American young men and Mexican and mixed race. And you are a bright little dot on stage with these men towering above you. In fact, I've got a picture. I might use that as our thumbnail. And that's what you do. And there are some people would think, well, what's some woman? Some woman, what can she do? What, or some older lady or some old woman, how people think, of course. And then yet when they allow 1 second to feel your frequency, your vibration, your love, your story, it changes, it shifts. And then the football coach was there on stage. They were talking about another member of their team who's a grumpy football manager of some kind. One of the children, one of the young men, honored him with the blue ribbon, and he immediately ran and honored two other students that he'd been picking on and whatever. So continue a
No,
bit.
I want to clarify that so that you can hear it. What Coach Dunn, who's the football coach, said to all the kids, because I was down there teaching them how to do the blue ribbon ceremony, and they were all doing it. Coach Dunn said, "I'd like to bring in Coach Jeff. He's our basketball coach, and he deserves to be honored and respected. And I want to make sure that." And so one of the kids, well, we didn't see how he actually honored him with the one of the students honored, one of the football players honored Coach Jeff, but what Coach Dunn said is, he said, "This is powerful, this is important, this is loving, and why I brought in Coach Jeff is because he deserves to be honored and respected by everybody." And he said, and when he has that blue ribbon and it has the cheerleaders on there, he said, that's the bing. That's what makes dreams come true. And what's so pure is this coach did not put anybody down. He elevated everybody. I wanted to just say that. And coach wanted to make sure that the kids would honor him and everybody else. Of course, the kids have gotten 1,000 ribbons, and they have those football team players went right out and they began to honor people, and it took on like a fire. So that's actually what happened. I just wanted to praise that scenario, because that was a great coach, and they're both great. The school is fantastic, Lincoln High School in San Diego. And so I just wanted to clean that up a little bit. How's that?
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And again, I mean, that one situation could be one of the many hundreds and hundreds that you've done with all different situations. But the point being that the emotion has turned so many people around. It has made other children look at each other with different eyes. And it is diffused many a tight, violent, sad, because the schools that you go into, my point, are some of the roughest and the most unfortunate, and you have brought that love, all different levels of schools. But, I live there too. I've been there. I've been in the schools. I've watched you. I've coached some of the children. I've been in the classrooms with you. But all beautiful, and all, you gifted them a route through in many ways.
I want to also give us the landscape and the fertilization. One of my good friends, she's a retired publicist, Sue Gibson said that the blue ribbon is the cancer for this. It takes care of the cancer of the soul. In other words, I don't care if you're a multimillionaire, because you're gonna lives have been taken if you have millions of dollars and you overdose on drugs. It doesn't make any difference how much money, if you're a gang member or you're the president of a country or a major general. I've been with people all over the world. They will cry on my breast. They can have all the ribbons on their uniforms and tell me about if they had gotten a blue ribbon when they were young and they were told that they mattered, they would not feel the war inside of them. They would be elevating themselves and others. I think it's very important, at least in the hundreds of thousands of people that I have influenced and honored and watched that ceremony happen, whether it's in Fortune 500 companies or Fortune 50 companies or hospitals, or you watch nurses honoring their patients. You watch teachers being honored by their students. We watch if there's something that is the magic of love, does it? It cuts through anything and everything. But until we are loved, until we receive that blue ribbon, I never could explain it until I honored somebody, and then they would feel it, and they would be so surprised that somebody stopped to tell them that they matter. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's stupendous. It really is. So we want to invite people, I mean, you were on my channel, I think it was about 2 years ago, the last time I had you on. And I just want to bring the loving audience that will watch this
Yeah.
to you,
Yeah.
bring you into their lives. And for these grandparents out there, they're like, what can I do? What's my mission? Well, you can stand alongside Grandma Sparky and you can buy yourself the ribbons and honor your children, your grandchildren, and then to have your kids take them to school and honor other children and just see the beautiful tsunami of love that happens. You are in more than, well, Once You Can Suit for the Soul book. And in that film, that 8-minute documentary that was made, that I'm going to put underneath this broadcast, Jack
Yeah.
Canfield, Jack Canfield, who many, many millions of people know, Jack Canfield and the Chicken Soup for the
Right.
Soul books,
Yeah.
he honors you in that little
Yeah.
short video that you, Sparky, influenced him. Him. You look at the Wayne Dyers, Jack Canfield, all of those people. Well, in my opinion, as your friend, but also having witnessed, you should have been always in that lineup, always. And you've never stopped going, and you've never stopped working, and you are still here right now. And you need to be, in my opinion, on the world stage
Yeah.
now more than ever to influence with your loving little beautiful ceremony. Can you take us through the ceremony so those that
Yes, of course I will. And also because right now I'm invested in, my intention is to build blue ribbon cities led by teens, one city at a time. I need whole entire cities, everybody honoring each other, but we have tools and trainings and ongoing curriculum for a year for elementary, middle, high school, colleges, corporations, and so forth. But it all starts with the blue ribbon ceremony. You're going to jump spark your car if it's dead. So here's the blue ribbon. And it faces you with the writing. You have a sticky that pulls off on the back. And you look at somebody from their heart through your eyes, say their name and say, I have a blue ribbon. So I'm going to do it with your whole audience right now. Yes. I have a blue ribbon for you. And it says, who I am makes a difference. And I'm loving you because you're spiritually evolving, you're growing, you're finding yourself, you're tripping over yourself. One day it's great, the other day is who am I again? But you're staying in the game. And for that, I cherish you, because it takes time and it takes us loving ourselves. Would you accept this gift from me? Yeah, you would? Good, cool. May I have permission to place it on you? I I do? Okay. I place it above your heart. It points up. toward all your greatest dreams coming true. And it's tradition for me to take the spark from my heart and put it in the cheerleaders in your ribbon. It is the sound that makes dreams come true. And the sound is and a one and a two and a three. Bing! And every time you hear a bing, you'll know that the child inside of us just got our dream, and you are mattering and making a difference to so many others. It's tradition for me to give you 2 extra ribbons that you might pay it forward, please. Take pictures, send it to us, uh, and that we can post on social media showing how many different people all over the world are building people up instead of putting them down, empowering each other's dreams instead of saying you're not old enough, got not enough money, you're not pretty enough, you're not tall enough, you're not whatever enough, and that we can have a nurturing, beautiful conversation to create 1 billion people being honored and 1 billion dreams come true by 2034. Thank you for being a part of that journey with me and letting me know how you want to participate. Yes, schools, corporations, organizations being part.
That's beautiful. And again, you mentioned the corporations. How many grown adults in whatever kind of position haven't healed that inner child from all the years and torment of bullying that they've carried or whatever they've gone through? None of us get through without trauma, violence, tragedy of some kind, unfortunately. And if we don't, have a way to get in there to feel that, and I believe your blue ribbon has done so much to help people go, really? I matter? Somebody gives a shit about me? Somebody's noticing me? Really? The first time you did it to me years ago, like early 2000s, I was really surprised how, even though I've done so much work on myself, and I think often we think we're further ahead than we actually are. And so in the moment when when you put the ribbon on me, I was surprised at the emotion I felt, like it literally touched me in a way that I hadn't accessed. And that's a really important point I want the audience to get. It's people say it's magical, and you look, it's a little blue ribbon. What the hell? Don't be silly. It's so beyond that. It is so real. It's a mechanism and it's emotional key. You can't explain it until you do it. And we've seen so many people, haven't we? During your lifetime, the people you've touched.
Here's a couple of things. Tell me how much time I have so I can be appropriate to
Let's do
this.
another
Because
15 minutes. Yeah.
how
Or
long?
15 minutes or another hour.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I want to speak to this because until you really receive the ribbon, even at the beginning when Jack Canfield, when I first honored him in 1984, he speaks to this on our documentary. And it was 1984 when we met. And we sat with I brought he was speaking at Inside Edge in San Diego, and we made arrangements to meet after. And I brought Dr. Angela Ashbrenner, who is the head on the board of the California Association of Directors of Student Activities for the whole state. And I turned to Jack and I honored him with a blue ribbon. And I said, so what do you think? And he said, well, on a scale of 1 to 10, it's about a 5. And I said, okay. And I handed him the ribbon. I said, would you honor Dr. Ashbrenner? So he goes, yeah, sure, casually. And he gets up and she stands up and he honors her. And I said, you take the ribbon, look her in the eyes, say, Dr. Ashbrenner, I have a blue ribbon. He goes through that. And it says, who I am makes a difference. I'd like to honor you. And he's following what I tell him. And he turns to me, he said, this isn't so easy, is it? I said, no, it's intimate. And he goes, wow. He finishes honoring her, sits down, and he says, I am leading the first self-esteem conference in Los Angeles. I'd like you to be on the stage with me at the opening ceremony and get everybody honoring each other. Now, that happened from, on a scale of 1 to 10, I was a 5 until he honored somebody. It takes that, and I have my book here, Who I Am Makes a Difference, right here. Who I Am Makes a Difference. See that? Okay. And what you brought to me is is yesterday I was waiting for my friend to meet me for breakfast, and she was uh, in traffic, so it was a little late, and I happened to bring a book to sign to her. And I'm reading it. Sometimes we write a book and we don't read it. We read certain stories or remember it, but I looking at this testimonial that I was looking for a long time happens to be in my book. And I'm going to read a couple testimonials so that you can get the feeling of Danny, what you're talking about. And this is Christy. She's 19 years old, and how she got in the College of Notre Dame on a full scholarship because of the ribbon. And it starts out, they said that I didn't matter, that I was just a kid, worthless, unvalued, and unappreciated. My parents told me that I was nothing and that I would never be successful. My soccer coach told me I was a failure and to give up. I wanted to commit suicide until one day someone honored me with the Who I Am Makes a Difference blue ribbon. It changed my life. I got involved in my high school's Paint Our Town Blue campaign. Our team honored 5,000 students, teachers, and parents in our community. I was accepted to the College of Notre Dame based on the work that I did on the campaign. She wrote, that was her writing to the College of Notre Dame and saying, this is who I am and this is what I want to do for the college. I want to bring everybody together. Now I've started a blue ribbon community at the College of Notre Dame. It is my dream that everyone on my campus knows that who I am makes a difference, that who they are makes a difference, because it's what we all need to hear to make our dreams come true. And I will honor Susie Carter, who is our coach, my coach for sure, our colleague, yes. And Susie said this, Helice Bridges, which is my real name, Helice Bridges, Grandma Sparky is what everybody calls me. Powerful acknowledgement training and acknowledgement systems have contributed to employee retention and recruitment, as well as increasing our sales by as much as $250,000 with one account. We got powerful leadership skills that cause results. Walmart. We did things in Walmart, Supercuts, Blue Cross Blue Shield, corporations all over the world, military. When you honor someone, few people have ever been told what they do right. We live in a punishment society where we're going to be told if we did 10 things right and one thing wrong, we will think about the one thing we did wrong, and so will everybody else. And we cannot stop that unless we shift it by reminding each other that they're loved and they matter, and watch how it increases academic excellence, how it ends family feuds, how it brings our communities together in 60 seconds or less for under $1.
It's truly, truly powerful. Truly powerful. And again, like we say, we invite people to buy the blue ribbons, honor their family members, their neighbors, the militaries, their everything, everywhere, anywhere, to do that, to spread it. And then we create the blue ribbon cities. San Diego is in line to be the first one in the world, right?
Yes, we have smaller cities. So what I do is I teach leaders of leaders, youth and adult leaders. They're nominated to our Standing Strong Together community building leadership training certification, and vetted by me if they're the right people and they're leaders. Some of them are the teacher of the year for the state of Minnesota. Science Brady is a science teacher. Okay, Catherine Sillery, who in Denver, she just spoke for 600,000 people in Washington, D.C. On the National Mall. 600,000 people were seated in the National Mall, and she was there, the host for the first day. Those kinds of people are the leaders, but they start out with a vision and a dream, and they recreate me in other cities, and we do a 6-week certification program. It's 2 hours a week online. So if that's something that people are interested in, they can lead this. But then I'll teach them how to go into an elementary, middle, and high school, college, business, and they could duplicate their work. And now we've got where is this? This is so cool. So my children's book now has been, it will be out this year, and it's Sparky and it's Sparky and the Magic Blue Ribbon, how children brought love to the whole wide world, and how the Bing happened. This is a children's book, so you're going to see people going into the elementary schools and teaching this, and there's a year-long process for continuing to bring weave the language of acknowledgement into every home, school, workplace, and community worldwide. And we're in 12 languages right now. So isn't that sweet?
It's truly special. And you, Grandma Sparky, you are truly special. I'm honored to call you my friend. And I'm so happy to be able to share you again with a beautiful audience that come to this channel and, honor the work that you do. But also, so many are saying, what's my mission? What do? I don't know how I can be useful. Well, this is one very simple, beautiful, impactful way that people can choose to step up, get blue ribbons, and create in their own towns, connect with you, and just find the joy that this brings.
Yes. Just take a moment and honor your kids, people in your where you're employed. Just the waitress, the waiter, somebody every day, honor somebody, and watch to see how you build love, and how you end conflict and jealousy. You can order the Blue Ribbon book, because it'll be the best of the Blue Ribbon stories. So you'll be able to, it's like chicken soup stories, and you'll be able to, when you go on to our website, you could do that. I encourage you to do that. And by the way, my dream to have a musical on Broadway in New York has been written. It's based on a story in the book called The Assembly of Love. It's based on how teens stood up and shared how their breakdowns and their breakthroughs with the Blue Ribbon. It's spectacular. And so we can go from a little angel coming into us, telling us who we be, to evaluating it. But you want to be around loving, safe, empowering people that can tell you that you matter, and that just take one small step at a time. The ribbon works. Thank you for that generosity. That's a sweet moment. By the way, I am 5 feet tall. My mother was 4'11", and she could run circles around anybody. So most people are a little taller than me, but thank you for being this little button that I am.
Yeah, well, I'm tall, like bloody Big Bird. So, so there's it's quite a difference.
No, I know, and but and we had such a good time together, being, living in the same complex. And that's how we met. And you come over with your convertible, and we go off to dance in some
Oh yeah,
dance place.
I took
And
clubbing.
you gave me that nose,
Oh
and
my God.
she says she puts this thing on a mask. We get in her car, and she gives me these big, I don't know, this what is it?
Plastic glasses with hairy eyebrows, a big plastic nose. Yeah, and we drove from wherever, Carlsbad to, was it the Belly Up? We went. It was the
It
Belly
was a Belly Up, a great place that's well known all over the world. And she says, "Here, put this on," and I couldn't stop snorting. I went, "What?" And we went in, and we went like that with that on, right? And nobody even cared.
It's so funny. And then we bought the fake teeth, but
Oh yeah, I took it out in the big glasses.
oh my God, we're both single, like two sad single women, like we didn't meet anyone that night. But
I was dancing. No, that guy came over. I think he left his girlfriend or his wife. I don't remember. But anyway, we spent the night dancing. You know, I'm telling you. But what you did, you do such outrageous things. I mean, and And you really, I mean, you took me to a whole new world. And the basketball thing, weren't you there with my basketball? You told me there's a basketball court where I live, and I didn't know. So I took a basketball. I think you took a picture of me or something,
Did I
and
film? Yeah.
you filmed me. And I had a basketball, and I thought I needed exercise, and and I think I made a basket. I did make a basket,
Good.
and so from the foul shot line. And that was just a few years ago, right? So that's you and me playing together. I mean, it's like crazy, outrageous. We could be different ages, but our spirit is the same.
Oh yeah, it's ageless, ageless.
Yeah.
I remember I bought you, and I think it was in Target. I don't shop in Target anymore for lots of reasons, but
Right,
then I
right.
saw this beautiful little unicorn onesie, this all-in-one pajama.
Oh my God, I have it. I have it, and it's the onesie for sleeping. It's a
Yeah,
sleeping thing, right?
yeah.
And it has the buttons in the back, where you could put the flap down to go to the toilet, right? I think that's hysterical. I couldn't figure it out at first, and I went, "How do you get out of this? What do you do?" And then and then I saw these little buttons in the back, and I went, "That's so cool." So in the wintertime, I definitely wear it a lot. And it's hard to not remember you every moment because uh, I won't tell him about the socks you got me, but uh, we don't share that, right? We won't share that. We won't say anything about it, right? Okay, but she does
Still
stuff
funny
that's
to do.
it's so outrageous and scares me. I mean, I couldn't use a four-letter word in my whole life, and she does this thing, and I went. She says, "I got this beautiful socks for you," and they were blue, and I was so excited. And then it has a four-letter word. Was it right? I'm allowed to say that here. And it was a four-letter word on it, and I went, "Oh no, I can't wear these socks."
Oh, it's so funny.
and th-
So
and they're
funny.
in my drawer. But every time I laugh because to loosen up and to just burst out laughing and be silly is something that we all deserve. And you bring that. You really bring that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, no, I got you these socks. They were your perfect branding, the brand of your company of Who I Am Makes a Difference in blueribbons.org. And I brought you these socks and they say F off, I'm reading. And we just could not stop laughing because you were so shocked. And I knew you would be. And I knew you'd never wear them because you don't even swear, you
I
know.
know. I
And
know.
yeah, so funny, so funny. But the little unicorn outfit I bought you, when you put it on the first time, you disappeared. You put the hood on and the feet
Yeah.
are long, and I'm like, where did she go? This little
Right.
tiny lady, like she just disappeared. But and that's another great thing about you, the level you are in your life right now, the timeline that you're on, you've never lost that joy, that happy, that you don't care for audience. You're not there to try to be something you're not. You are so raw and real, and that's what humanity, we want. That we resonate to that. We don't want the clip shiny bollocks. We want a Grandma Sparky leading, sharing, showing, and coming from her origin story, that she's gone through it. We connect much better to people with an origin story that we can feel, and then we can express ourselves in whatever subject, right?
That is true. And for a long, long time, because I was in schools and I didn't have a PhD or a master's or anything like that, I couldn't get I wanted the science behind it. I wanted to be logical and linear, and I couldn't be. And I worked it so hard. And I called Jack Canfield and I said, "Jack, I'm giving a big speech for business people, and I don't know how to explain self esteem." And he gave me three quotes to use. He said, "Just use the quotes and weave it into your speech, and you'll look like you're very intelligent." And I go, "Oh, is that how to do it?" And he goes, "Yeah." So I did do that. But I couldn't, but constantly, now I know the science behind this. Now I know how to speak into every audience so that if there's 1,000 people in the room, I can speak to the linear and the logical and the emotional and the scientific, whatever it is. I know who you are, and I can speak into your hearts on all of that by weaving in just little little kind of sound bites for that, so that you feel supported and you go, oh yes, that's me. But it took a long time for me to discover that without feeling like I didn't matter. 'Cause I got kicked out of a lot of schools because of this ribbon. It was too emotional. Teachers wouldn't do it. Educators threw me out. It had to be the right school. It had to be, now emotional literacy is what is mandated in all the schools. Very few educators know how to do that. And, you know, you can't go from being bullied and all of a sudden have the heart and love other people if we can't love ourselves. So your teachers, you need to be fueled. Coach Dunn talked about that. He said, you know, the world is broken, kids are hurting, teachers are hurting too. You know, we're all in that place where we just need to be loved and admired and appreciated and valued and validated and understood, um, and elevated to empower your dreams, not what somebody told you to do. And so we're not locked in a cage by a societal model of who we should be, but all of a sudden we blossom like the flowers in springtime, and we just feel, wow, we just smell the roses, if you will, and we don't have to try to do that. They're just everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. I love you so much. I'm so proud of you. And to see you continuing to fly and shine your light everywhere is just a joy to behold. It really is. As we bring this broadcast to a close, my darling Sparky, Grandma Sparky, my little Sparky pants, I would like you to just leave a blessing on the audience and tell them anything you need to tell them about how to contact you or whatever you'd like to share.
Yeah. I would like you to look into the mirror every day. Give yourself a wink and say, who I am makes a difference. I rock. I deserve to be loved. Bring it on. And so just take a cherishable moment for yourself to look at what you do that works, because you deserve to be loved in yourself. Please connect with me. You can see our documentary on Blue Ribbons, BLUERIBBONS.org, or get in touch with Sparky, me directly at Sparky, SPARKY, at blueribbons.org. I'm going to say it again, BLUERIBBONS. Make sure the S goes on there, .org, Blue Ribbons, Sparky at blueribbons.org. And just say, I'm interested in bringing this program to my home, my school, my workplace, and I'll get right back to you. We'll dialogue what your vision is and how we can make a difference together. Yeah, and so let's do it that way. Let's take one small step at a time. Take big dreams, small steps. I want to speak everywhere I can. Invite me to your women's groups, your schools, your organizations. We'll do it on Zoom. Let's make that difference. Yes, together. 1 billion people honored, 1 billion dreams coming true by 2034. Be a part of that championship team. I love you. That's it.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Grandma Sparky. You are loved. And we are so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. And to the beautiful audience, God bless you. Much love to you from my heart to yours. And I'm really thrilled and will be so happy to hear how many of you actually do connect with Grandma Sparky and get with, a program so you yourself can continue your healing, but also help in the healing of others too. Grandma Sparky, God bless you. I'll talk to you soon. And to you, lovely audience, mwah, lots of love.
Namaste. God bless.